First of all, I want to ask about the process of this album. I read that you went on this birthday trip, and then go back home and found this piano that it was a gift from your manager.
Exactly. Yeah. And that really was as I remember it, the start of when I started having ideas again. It seemed to. I was stuck with the guitar. I didn't. I felt as though if I sat down with the guitar, I knew what the outcome was going to be, and it wasn't inspiring to start with. Whereas I sit with the piano, suddenly, sort of start to open up my mind.
Yeah, but you didn't knew you weren't so good with the piano. I understand that you only knew some chords. Yeah, but does one of these chords finished on the album, or?
I suppose this is like 2 years ago now. So hopefully I've improved since then. But yeah, when I first sat down, I had very limited. I knew a couple of chords and could sort of like kind of improvise over these jazz chords that my dad showed us like probably 20 years ago. So.
Yeah.
Every time I'd sit at a piano since I was a kid, I'd sort of play the same type of thing. I never really expected I'd do anything with it in my own compositions, shall we say. But when this piano showed up in the studio, I had it was no different. It was I still was like playing these same things, but playing a lot more often every day. I started to expand on that, and suddenly then this gave me ideas for lyrics, and this whole just took me to a different place, and suddenly I started to think, actually maybe I am going to do something with this, these things I've been playing for.
At the time you were looking for something to begin to build the next album, or you were just hang around?
No, we were ready to do another Monkeys album, because since the last one I went and did an album with an artist called Alexandra Sage.
Yeah.
Almost.
You produced it, huh?
Yeah, her and I wrote her album, and James Ford and I produced it. So we did that, and then we did the Shadow Puppets record. So by then, a couple of years had gone by, and the rest of the band from the Monkeys were, we were like ready to do another record.
Okay.
It's been like 4 years now, since that last one came out.
Yeah.
Have we got the other one going as well?
Sped up to the point where they prove it's 1,000 times that it's even bolder.
And do you recall the moment that you said, okay, wait, I guess I got something, we can work it out? And the moment that you said, okay, this is a very intimate album, I'm gonna show it to the boys to see if we should move forward with this?
Right, yeah. Well, I think probably the answer to both parts of that question is the moment when Jamie came and spent some time with me in the little studio there, and we recorded some guitars on these songs that I'd been writing. It was through that, really, like through his playing on it, and how excited he was about it. Or he gave me a lot of encouragement in that time that I was along the right lines, And I think I wasn't certain about that prior to that point, It felt like we'd moved. The sound was moving to a new place, and I wasn't, certain it was the right thing. And then he came along and was like.
I thought I saw you in the battleship.
So at that point, you knew that, okay, we got a new album.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, but it wasn't. I think it was like at that point, it could have been we just like did a 180 and turned back around and go and find another way through it. Would have been like the other option, I suppose.
first song, and the first line that it's a bold one, right? Like I just gotta be one of the Strokes, and it's a bold one, and it's kind of you're looking into your younger self before the band, actually.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's what it represents to me. You know, but I think also it's that line's particular. In particular, there's a. It doesn't stop there, you know. Like there's the Strokes, and then it goes on to the punctuation isn't for a moment just after that, which I think it seems to make more sense with the whole line, marginally more sense, and also the music underneath it, I think, which is where it sort of came from. It was like I think it's interesting, like, you know, lyrics to me. You know, they only work. It might sound simple, but it only works in often like the melody of something or what's underneath it, like permits it. Somehow, yeah. It's the same with the like Leader of the Free World line. It's like what comes after it and the way it's sung somehow makes it like allows it to be there. Yeah. So when I think you like just extract a lyric from the song and try and
to make sense of it.
Yeah, so it doesn't really. I don't think anyway.
In your mind is a complete concept that.
And sometimes the lines are just there to support their surroundings. Yeah, whatever's like. It's just a.
And have anyone from the Strokes have texting you or something like that? Or not yet?
No, I don't.
And also there's another song on the album. It feels like the view from an outsider, you know, watching all the frenesy that we're living day to day, and also has this phrase about the ratio of information that it's very interesting because also kind of reflects the times we're living in.
Yeah, I was very much interested in that phrase, information-action ratio. Yeah, because it seemed to completely reflect
this time.
Where we're at. Yeah. It's from this a book I read called "Amusing Ourselves to Death" by Neil Postman. I'm sure you've found that out already. But it was just. It seemed like a good name for the taqueria in my song.
It's like a good reflection of this contextualization of the information that we're living in. The fake news, but the truth news, but this is news, but actually we're paying attention to things that aren't news, but you know, these viral videos, and then you go on the news and newspapers on the internet. It's like
there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, and it's like and like a saturation of information that we're living in.
Well, I think in the books, obviously, like from years and years ago, and it's talking about it's all about television. I suppose but it just seems, you know, a lot of the points it's making, I think, are like more than applicable to today. But you sort of, I think it's difficult to try and like go and explain that within a song. To me, it seemed more appropriate to like just name something in the song after this thing from the book, and you know, like introduce it that way. Because I think even just that phrase, the three words themselves, you sort of understand what it means. Like without even looking into it, I think you can sort of, hopefully, it makes you, it provokes something. Yeah.
I think it's Golden Trunks that begins with beside the piano there's this guitar riff that it's kind of creepy vampire riff, also characteristical of the band, I guess. But it blends everything.
It's not without its fangs.
That song, I wonder. It mentions the leader of the free world with the golden
does,
trunks.
yeah.
Is that a reference of
President Johnny Jenkins.
of Donald Trump and that? I reflect. I saw it and I
guess
said, okay.
you could say that this phrase, the leader of the free world, was really. I think there were a few phrases like this that I was hearing so often, and was attempting to find a. I don't even know. I don't know. Looking at it now, if I was attempting to find a way to like use one of these phrases I was hearing often, or whether it just sort of seeped into this the way it seems to seep into everything else.
Okay.
These days, like you don't go 5 minutes without the presidency getting in. I mean, look at us now having this conversation. It's managed to find its way into this. There's a expression people say where I'm from, which goes something like, "It gets where water can't."
Okay.
Like, so it gets in where water can't go.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that's the way I feel about it. But yeah, in the tune, I think it was. I suppose what am I saying in the song is the character at the centre of this song, who I see to be female. She's reminded of like a 1980s WWF wrestler by this situation.
There are no singles before the release, and I love the fact that in the album you point out to the addiction that we're going to the technology and how technology has shaping us in stranger people, no? And I think that's something that technology has changed. Is the way that we listen music and the way we consume music, and it's a bold move for me that nowadays where people prefer just to streaming songs instead of buying albums, or you decide not to release any single and wait to put the whole album as a complete piece out.
Yeah, we arrived at the consensus that it works as an album in its entirety. It wasn't necessarily designed that way, I don't think. I wasn't expecting it to be released that way either, to be honest. When the band and people that work with us start to spend time with the music, this consensus was arrived at that it should come out as one thing. So I think that's the plan.
And if you have to pick a song after the release to make the single, which will...
What would we do? I don't know, what do you think?
I love Golden Trunks, like I said.
That's fun.
Yeah,
that's got...
Tranquility Base Hotel Casino, but I think you're right, it works as a complete... it's a complete journey.
Well, yeah, but I don't, I'm not, I'm expecting it to be enjoyed that way though. It's obviously like that's, and it's not as though it's like a requirement either. But I think it was just like I said, it was decided that was the right way to go about it. Yeah.
The album has this space vibe from an outsider. This was influenced in some way by you being an immigrant living in Los Angeles, in California.
In the outer space?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I think it was, honestly, it was taken as no, it was more, it kind of came from movies probably. Was the and the idea that science fiction has you know, even in literature or in movies or whatever, it's like, you know, often it uses, like it uses these other worlds or outer space or like time travel to explore things that are going on in this world that we live in. Like, and I think even like that idea itself was sort of the basis for that song, science fiction, and then suddenly I had that and you know, Tranquility Base and stuff, and once I'd like opened the cupboard to the language related to sci-fi, I sort of couldn't help but put a rocket on everything.
Regarding the artwork, you design it. The cover, whole the artwork. Were you inspired by an artist?
It really came from the music, honestly. Yeah, it came from the music, and you know, the shape of it, I think, to me relates to the music. Okay. I think the idea, like, you know, what it's trying to be is, it's attempted to resemble like an architectural model, like, you know, the model of the hotel that's in its lobby. Was one of the first ideas I had having named the album what we named it. So, you know, there was a lot of other things I explored related to that idea before I arrived back at like this thing. And
there's a special meaning on the hexagon.
Well, so it started off. There was it started off with like a piece of graph paper, and I just drew a hexagon to represent like a side for each album. You know, this being the sixth. It was no more. Right. But then, you know, like a lot of like making the music, you sort of set yourself some rules, I suppose, and then you like work within these things. Or, you know, making the video, the same thing. You like set this like framework that you can work within. And somehow is what, like, I don't know. Without doing that, it seems like there's too many options or something. Yeah. So I suppose that's how I started. I thought, well, all right, I'll make everything to it. Everything related to this is going to be six-sided, and then like began to explore that for the next couple of months.
When you go to Mexico, I hope it should be by the end of this year, I guess.
We're working on it. Well, you know, we always had a great time there. I had a great time last time I went with the puppets. It was wonderful. Yeah.
So let's take you to the taqueria tour in Mexico City. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Have a nice day.
Hotel and casino.